won. It's like unbelievable, like a David and Goliath story. I guess it all worked out. We're still here. We still have that clinic. I'm very proud of that. First thing I did is I went camping, and I went for a month. Our job wasn't to make the world perfect, just make it better. Nobody can make it perfect. There's only the Creator can make it perfect. You have to be respectful of those that came before us, worry about those that are coming next, and the people that are here today.
Remember who we are, through the smoke, through the sound. Our heartbeat carries on, stand strong. Voices rise from the earth to the sky. Neshanabe, Neshanabe, Bodewadami.
I'll let you get comfortable for a minute.
Well, like I said, my memory doesn't serve me as well as it used to. I remember Mary Winsott, and she was an elder. You remember her, Mary?
I don't remember her. I hear a lot
She
about
was
her.
quite old when even then, but she had the most fantastic memory of anyone I've ever met. You could show her old pictures with a bunch of people on it, and she'd name every single one of them, tell you who they are related to, and just do who their parents, grandparents, who everyone was. Just a sweet old lady. I really, but she had so many teachings that she would share too. She was kind of strict, but she just had a fantastic memory.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, she could probably remember what she had for breakfast 20 years ago.
Thank you for being with us, Phil. Can you give us a little introduction about who you are?
My name is Philip James Shopodock. I was named my first name is Philip, was one of my grandfather's names. My middle name is James, which is another one of my grandfather's names. So I was named after both my grandfathers. I was named by, what's his name? Frank Thunder, I believe, gave me my Indian name, and he said it was Natau-Antawak. What that means is when you see a deer, a large buck, wild, running and jumping through the woods, that's what it means. That's what I was told anyways. Shopodock also is an Indian word. It's my family's name. I guess now it's not it was at one point. It's a little confusing the way Native people name people and white people name people. Because it's Shopodock would be like the surname, I guess, but that's a Native word as well. It means I was told it meant through the cloud a long time ago by some elders, and then another one, an older woman, an old lady, came and told me, said, "No, that's not what that means. What that means is when the sun comes up in the morning." Through the forest, that first ray of light that goes through that fog and that mist, he said, that's what that means. I thought, wow,
Really?
yeah, that first ray of light in the morning that goes through the mist, and you could see it going through the mist. That's what Shopodock means, and that's not even the proper way of pronouncing it. My dad changed the spelling of it because people crucified the name the way it was spelled, because they didn't understand. So he changed the spelling of it, changed the name of it a little bit to make it easier, I guess. And that's another thing that I guess is very concerning to me at the time, was that what all of our elders had to go through. The can't speak your language, going to a boarding school. Our tribe was just destroyed. The whole Indian people in this country were destroyed by that. They wanted us to be absorbed and not be native. Well, that's not going to happen. I guess they give it up on it by now, I hope. But that seemed to be the trend. But most of the elders that I knew in my family, my father, I don't think he wanted me to be that. He didn't want me to speak that, because he didn't want me to suffer the same persecution that he did. And that's why a lot of our people don't understand the language and don't understand a lot of our ceremonies because they kept that hidden, kept that away from them so that they wouldn't have to endure those same type of persecutions. It was awful. That has affected everyone. Because now, we had a history that goes along for, I don't know, 1,000 years or more. And then all of a sudden there's a big skipping like a record. It was just pushed away because you weren't allowed to do this. You weren't allowed to do any of that. Everything was done to destroy that infrastructure that we had. And realizing that is what my elders, all of our elders, endured during that time is just phenomenal, and to keep going strong enough so that we're all still here. It's just that to me is like there's a sacrifice,
Wow.
But what hurt is the the language was taken away. Spirituality was taken away. Everything, family, everything was just destroyed. Yeah. And now we had to slowly pick our way back through it, and here we are. We're not going to be eliminated. We're not going away. For me, trying to remember back to 1995, at that time I was serving on the Gaming Commission, and I had been there about a year, and I really enjoyed that. It was a real learning experience for me because I didn't know anything about gaming actually at that time. But with the Gaming Commission and some of the trainings that I went to got me a little more focused on it and taught me some things. And the regulations I guess are one thing, but the tribe has all the tribes have a lot of discretion as to what they're going to do. My biggest concern when I was on the Gaming Commission is that there was going to be some kind of a dossier on every tribal member, because that could happen. You could put those kind of restrictions in place, even on the general council. Everybody there makes decisions on gaming.
Yeah.
So you have to have a license. Yeah, it gets kind of nuts. You can drill down that far and make it so complicated that nothing will ever happen. But anyways, then the election came up in 1995, and I'd been on the Gaming Commission for about a year, and some individuals came to me and they asked me if I would run for chairman, and I thought, chairman? I said, I don't know what that all entails, and didn't know very much about it. I thought, boy, that's a big honor just to be asked to do something like that. For me, I was kind of humbled by it, just people thinking that I would be capable of doing that position, or So I accepted, and I didn't really think I was going to win. I didn't. I was surprised, very surprised when I did win, and I won by a pretty substantial margin at the time, and that was just like wow, just kind of really surprised me, and then I got into it in November. I guess the election is in November usually, or I was sworn in November. And the first thing that I recall was at a previous general council just before I was elected chairman, they had passed a budget. We do our budgeting in September, and they had put a $17 million deficit in it. So I had to deal with that right out of the gate, my council. And I had a good council at the time too. Louis Bodie, Arlene Holloway, I can't recall who was on. My memory doesn't serve me as well as it used to, but Ned Daniels was on there. I think Brenda was on there at the time, and Lorna Shauno, she was secretary. That was a pretty good group of people for me to work with. I mean, they were, I guess, patient with me because I didn't know very much. And then, as I recall back, the National Indian Gaming Commission sent us a letter saying that the structure that we had for the casino in Milwaukee, we couldn't keep it that way. They can't be partial owners or owners of a casino. Only a tribe can own a casino. So knowing that and having heard of that while I was on the Gaming Commission, we knew that something had to change. We had to negotiate with the school and our management company at the time. to change the structure of that. So we did. That took a huge amount of time and negotiations, and got kind of ugly. It was kind of like a divorce, I guess I'd say.
Yeah.
And divorces, they start off like, yeah, we'll be pals. No, we're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
So to go back to with the structure prior to the change, what was that structure like?
well, there was a committee, I guess I'll call them, that ran the casino, and one was the management company had a vote, the Indian Community School had a vote, and the tribe had a vote. It was a huge document that they had put together, and that's when I read the whole thing before I attended my first meeting for that structure, and it was difficult. Finally, we were able to negotiate a settlement, and then the next thing that happened is we had to get a new gaming compact as well. And at that time, we were restricted to, I believe it was 200 machines, 200 slot machines in Milwaukee. We had bingo. That's what we originally started with, but then we had 200 slots. So to break that took a great deal amount of time, negotiated with the governor, and the governor says, well, I won't do anything unless you get an approval from the city, the county, and God knows who else he wanted us to say yes to. But Mayor Norcross, I think, was our biggest opponent at that time. And he just said, no, absolutely not. Absolutely. That's never going to happen. He vetoed it. So we had to go to the Common Council and get a supermajority, which is 2/3 to override his veto, which took some time and a lot of effort by a lot of people, a lot of lobbying down there in Milwaukee, and understanding the political landscape in Milwaukee was pretty bizarre at that time. But anyways, we were successful in that. We did get that done. We got the restrictions limited. We got more slot machines, some table games, so on and so forth. And then that's when it really took off, I think, to be that. It just, really took off after that. We started getting a lot of income in. But before that, when we were in the negotiation part, they actually cut us off. They wouldn't, they said, well, we'll just escrow the money and you're not getting any until this is settled. They tried that, so we took them to court and fought that off. And we won a couple battles, we lost a couple battles. They tried to get our attorney kicked out because he had worked for the consortium, I'll call it, and not just the tribe. And he was our legal advice, so they tried to get him removed. And they were successful, and that's we had to start over. So we had to get a much smaller firm in there, but they did a really great job of representing us during these negotiations, and we were fighting a Goliath of an attorney firm. I don't have 500 attorneys or something like that, all working on this at once, and all just ready to crucify us. But that little firm that we had, they stuck it out. We won. It's like unbelievable, like a David and Goliath story like that. But we were successful in doing that as well. Then I think we did an expansion after that. It became more of a destination. We put restaurants in there and a lot of different things. We changed the whole environment of it. And it was really turned out beautiful, I thought. But, as most of the things that involve people coming and going and, attracting them to a place, you have to keep a fresh face on it. So we've been doing that for years now. So every few years we have to renovate and change things up a little bit just so it just appears to be all new and has that fascination that people like to, I want to go there. There's a new restaurant. I'm going to try that. Or I want to go and do this, or I want to go and do that there. So that's what we kept doing with our marketing. And as things went along, I don't know, we just seemed to be, I guess, lucky, I'll call it. A lot of things that were thrown in our way to obstruct us and move things so that we wouldn't have what we have today, that just seemed to move out of the way. We were able to overcome them. one way or the other, the magnitude of that weight to carry, the responsibilities for the tribe is huge. Particularly with the situations we were in at that time, in a lot of different legal battles, and even the tribe itself was changing very rapidly. We came from a place where we didn't even have running water, electricity. The housing was substandard. I mean, there was a lot of trailer homes and things like that on the reservation. You had constantly repairing them, constantly fixing them, constantly breaking down. So we had, then we started the housing. That kind of took off that was something, I still remember that when people would come in, and they had a housing number and all this, and when their number would come up and they'd get a piece of property or they would get a site, and then they would make the decisions as to what kind of house they wanted or buy a house. And the look on their faces was just amazing, because they were first-time homeowners. Most of them were all first-time homeowners, and just see them walk into a new house, or the look on their faces was just, wow. It's something I'll never forget. That's one of the cool things, I guess I'll say, that I enjoyed about the job. Some of the other things were like when we first did the clinic. We did a clinic, and it was basically all grants, and it really wasn't big enough or substantial to do what we needed. So we got together a plan, and we took it to the general council and got that approved, and then we built the clinic that we have today. Now that to me was something else. We started it. We had this idea, that we'd be able to try to keep everyone healthy, so we didn't have to go to Rhineland or Antigo or someplace like that for everything, and that was really beautiful too. We hired some doctors. We had a full staff there at the time, but I'm not sure why, but there seems to be a large turnover of doctors. I think the other tribes were headhunting our doctors to take them to their clinics, the smaller ones, and it was kind of stressful to deal with that when we're actually cherry picking each other's staff. It was kind of crazy, but I guess it all worked out. We're still here. We still have that clinic. I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of my council for making that decision, and all the decisions that we made. I didn't make them on my own. It was the council behind me that supported me in some of the decisions and didn't support me in some of them, but we worked it out. We worked it out so that we moved the tribe forward, and to me that was. That was the whole reason for being there, Yeah.
You went through a lot of the things that happened in the 1995-96 era. Another thing that was going on was the Crandon mine. Do you remember that, and can you recall that time frame?
Yeah, I went to I don't know how many different meetings that we had to oppose that. All over all the tribes of the state, I believe, opposed it. But we had a real good relationship with Molake. We met with them and a lot of their people constantly, to keep each other apprised and to keep moving that forward. Then I think I don't remember the hardest part about it for me was there was a fire up there. We lost some really good people in that fire. To me, it was a guy that was there all the time. He just wouldn't quit. And he was from Molake, an elder. And I think he burnt up in that fire. And he died. He passed away. But I still remember him. That's one of the things that, when I think back, there's so many people that were involved in all of those different aspects or fights, I guess, we were having with everyone else, and so many people that helped making that swing in our direction are no longer with us. That to me is, I think back like that, it makes me a little sad, but I hope they're up there looking down and saying, look what you did, so that I'm really proud of them too, so many of them, we started the post, the Veterans Post, we started that as well. Those veterans, some of them were really suffering at that time. They had that post-traumatic stress disorder. I don't think anybody even realized what that meant at that time, but we did learn what it meant. It's a horrible condition for our veterans have had to go through at that time. So we lost a number of them. And then that's gone on now. It's been, I don't know how many years ago that was, probably 96, 97, somewhere in that area we started that post. Then I think it was around 2000 that I'd been in there for 5-6 years, something like that. I developed some health issues, some stress. Doctors started giving me pills and telling me to do this and do that. So I ended up actually resigning at the end of it for health reasons. I had because if you keep doing this, you're going to have a heart attack. You're going to, it's not going to be good for you. But medication, I'm not a big fan of all these different pills you have to take. Well, I wasn't then. I'm still not. So I took a few years off, and first thing I did is I went camping, and I went for a month. I never came back. I just went camping out in the bush. The only the time I came in was to get some groceries and do laundry, and then go back out camping. And that to me was that time, I guess, brought me back down to earth, or made me relax again, because there's a lot of stress in that position, and the pace of it was kind of insane. It was really fast, really just 24/7, all the time, go, 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 go. So that after I took some time off and got grounded again, and started thinking about life, trying to learn what is this life all about? It's really because it's pretty short too. Now that I'm 73, going to be 74, it seems like, wow, that went by fast. So, but it was I've enjoyed it. I enjoyed the time. 99% of it, I guess I'll say, but not 100%, but because there were some extremely difficult times, that we went through as a people. For me, the thought of going back and here we didn't have any technology at that time. There were no computers on people's desks, and then a couple of years later, everybody had a computer on their desk. Everyone was we were moving so quickly with that technology, and that type of rapid growth was stressful for everyone. I think the whole tribe kind of suffered from that. But it was something we just had to go through to get to where we are today. And now I look at our kids, and they start working with computers in kindergarten. And to them it's like nothing. If I need a tech, I go get a high school student or even a kindergartner probably knows more than I did at that time. It was just things like that. I find to be so, I guess, over the rainbow. We started here, now we went all the way over to there. It's just our lives, I believe, have gotten better, with the housing, healthcare, education, everything else. But one of the number of reasons, I think one of the driving forces of it is I read some of the treaties. We have signed 49 treaties, which is more treaties than any tribe in the United States. Every one of them's been broken, but that's another argument, I guess. And the common thread, I guess, that was through all of those treaties is from way back was housing, education, healthcare. Those people that were here way, way before us had the same concerns we had today. And to me, that was I made that connection of to keep going that way. What really is going to matter 100 years from now versus what's going to matter tomorrow. Because if you just live for tomorrow, you're really not doing anything. You got to think past yourself, generations ahead, and try to make that path for them or a way for them to go. And that was one of the driving forces, I guess, I had for me. It inspired me or gave me a reason to get up in the morning and do what I had to do, to get that done or move it in that direction. Anyways, we our job wasn't to make the world perfect, just make it better. Nobody can make it perfect. There's only the Creator can make it perfect things, but just make it better. Make it keep going in that direction, keep fighting in that direction. So we did. Here we are, years later, and we've gone through many councils since then, and I think they all have the same attitude and the same understanding that's what we should be doing.
So you went back as a council as chairman in 2007,
Yes.
and then that was around the time where the global financial crisis was happening for the housing market.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that, and can you recall some difficulties, or was that even something that the tribe was affected by?
Yeah, I recall it when it first happened. The stock market kind of crashed. Everybody went kind of nuts. They were calling me all the time, and they were worried about their children's money that was put aside, and a lot of it did go down. But all the people that work for us and some of them are own. They knew that this was a temporary thing. That don't panic. Worst thing you could do now is panic and dump all your stuff for pennies on the dollar. So we didn't. We just weathered the storms, rode it out, and my God, they weren't right. All of those losses came back slowly but gradually. It took years to recover, but we did recover. And that to me, that was because there was a panic going on, even with the parents being extremely upset with my child's wiped out. He doesn't have any. Yeah, they do have some. We're just going to leave it there. Oh, you can't do that. Lots of threats and things like that. Because, when you impact someone's child, you could depend that they're going to defend them.
Yeah.
Anything that comes along that doesn't seem right to them, they are going to be opposition. So we did weather that storm. We made it through it. And I'm very glad that we were able to do that, because the losses were substantial. But over time, it all came back.
Yeah.
So I was very thankful for that. Then I'll just say that, my spirituality is my rock, really. That's when things turn to crap all around you. You got to be standing on something or you're going to get flushed with everything else, So having that, having had those experiences in the past and the support of a lot of elders that aren't here, today is that just kind of saddens me when I say that out loud. But that's what helped me through those times, those difficult times. That's not the only one. There were many more that I had to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that was happening while you were chairman in the 1990s was PBDC was established in 1996.
Yeah.
Can you kind of let us know what that was about and why it came to creation?
What I recall about it is that it was kind of controversial at the time. Even I didn't really support PBDC in the beginning when the original, but a lot of people did. So we sat, we talked, as we do with many things. There's always agreement and disagreement. They wanted to start new businesses. I told them that, I thought they should be taking over some of the businesses that we already had in place. I said, take them all, and then run them in a business manner and keep the politics completely out of it if you can. Well, it's almost impossible to keep politics out of everything, but that was our opportunity to do so, because when you start making political decisions, they're not going to be good business decisions. The two just don't mesh up very well, So, but not stepping on each other's toes too is a big part of that. That allow them the freedom to do what they have to do and the freedom to do what the legislation has to do. It's totally different things, but they do intersect from time to time. So, anyways, they were created, and I believe they were created with like $5 million at the time, and they started buying businesses. And then I think I was chairman at the time, and I told them I thought they should be taking over our other businesses as well, like the Red Deer Ranch that we had, the farm we had just purchased. And because they understand how to market. And marketing is really the key to a lot of things. If you don't market yourself right, or you don't market things right, you're not going anywhere. Yeah, you gotta do something in that area. And my dream was at that time is to have, I'll say, a wheel, a hub in the middle of that wheel, that all of our marketing efforts would go through one area. One team would be in the middle, and everybody would market off of that. So we'd have this constant going on, constant marketing, but supporting all of the businesses, everything, that we had. The C-stores, we only had one at the time, but I wanted them to take that over as well. And they refused. They didn't want to. They just wanted to do businesses. Well, thank God that they changed their minds about that, because those businesses, I think, are doing better today because of the involvement, particularly the C-stores for PBDC. I wish they would have taken over the deer ranch. I don't think it would have failed, but because I recall at that time, it was the elders that kind of made that decision to invest in those red deer. And then when they started talking to me and telling me about how they lived with the land, and how their hoofs actually replanted the seeds and they moved them to paddock. And I drove around with the elders in a van to see one of the things that I always remember is, I watched all our elders turn and look at those red deer like that, and I watched all those red deer turn and look at our elders like that. They were just like turned slowly and looked at each other.
Really?
It was like magic for a minute, just a moment,
So that was around 1996. There was a elder council that was formed around that time, as well. Is that what you're talking about? That you were associated with the deer farm?
Yes, there were elders that were just interested in the progress of the tribe. They just wanted to know, and they got involved in it. And there was different grants and programs. And I thought an elder council, that was kind of something that I ran with the ball because I thought, where we are at that time, there was as of today, was enrollment a big thing like that? It's like, well, I don't know. I don't know who's all related to who and all of the ins and outs of all that, because it seemed kind of crazy to me. So I figured, well, who would know better? Who would know better? And they did. But apparently some people within the organization didn't feel that way. So they got dissolved. That really upset me at the time. I mean, I was almost ready to resign right then, because of how they had persecuted those elders, and they told me, don't do anything, don't do that, different ones would say things to me like, I was trying to, I guess, improve the tribe or true tribe members' lives. And some people just constantly just seemed like they hated my guts, They give me dirty looks no matter where I went or what I was doing. So I asked some of the elders about that. They said, oh, they're just that way. Don't worry about it. Keep going. You're doing a great job. So that's the kind of inspiration that, wow, to me, because when you feel that all the time, that it's constant oppression, I guess I'll say, and then to have somebody tell you, don't worry about it. It ain't nothing. It's just that way. Nobody wins these elections unanimously or anything like that. It's a struggle. We'll find a way. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So throughout each of your terms, did you rely on a lot of past history to lead us forward?
Absolutely. I served 4 terms. Well, not quite 4, because I did resign a year before I finished one, but I was elected chairman 4 times. And what I learned early on, was the chairman carries that tying vote, to break the tie with the council and the general council. And you wouldn't think that would happen as often as it does, but it does happen frequently. I mean, I had to go through it more than once. And for me, my process, I guess, to do it was I had to think an old way, that you have to be respectful of those that came before us, worry about those that are coming next and the people that are here today, but the people that are here today, I guess as a chairman, you have to have more concern about respecting the ones that came before us. For me, without them, we wouldn't even be here, we would not even be here. So remembering those treaties and what they fought for, that's what we need. That's what we're going to need 100 years from now. Those education, health, housing, those are the issues that keep coming to me from that past, knowing those things. And people today, there's a clinic to help their health, and that's not only going to help the ones today, but that's going to help the ones tomorrow that are coming, so that they'll have better, be healthier than we did, or live healthier than we did. That's why we have the rec center. I mean, I expect that thing to pay some huge dividends, and I probably won't see them, but just to know that that's coming and see that building, that beautiful building there, where all of these things can happen. It's there. We have the infrastructure's in place. Now we just have to work the plan, I guess. We planned the work, now work the plan. And it'll come out.
Yeah. There was a climate change symposium held at the Milwaukee Casino in 2008. Can you kind of speak about that and how climate and climate change has affected us as tribal people?
That question kind of caught me off guard a little bit. I don't recall too much about it, but that's all I hear is climate change. And there's climate change people that absolutely believe in it, and some that absolutely don't. And I don't understand why people don't see that coming. It is coming. There's probably, you could see the storms are getting worse, the weather's getting worse from time to time. There's about to be a change, and we need to be prepared for it. We need to take some steps now. Whether everybody else wants to stick their head in the sand, that's up to them. But we need, I guess because of my teachings, my past teachings, and the relationship that we have with the land. No other people have that, that spirituality and that connection with the earth. I don't know of any other people that have that other than us. So we have to take the lead. We're going to have to. And I don't see that happening yet, but without that, I don't see much of a change.
Some of the things that we talked about were very business and government central, but can you talk about maybe your family a little bit and how they're supportive? I know you got a really strong connection to your family. You got that support system. How did that help you in those leadership roles and help you carry through?
One of the things that after I was elected, I learned from my council and people is that you have to put your family first. If you try to do all of this on your own, you're going to burn out real quick. It's I faced it. I did eventually kind of get some burnout, but I guess without the support of my family and going home at night, not every night, but some nights anyways, knowing that there was people there that loved me, would take care of me, whatever I was going through. A lot of the stuff that I carried, I didn't talk about, to anyone. I just couldn't. There's certain restrictions on that position that you just aren't allowed to talk about a lot of these things. That's why I even said earlier that there's some things that I just can't talk about, and I don't, I shouldn't. So I'm not going to.
Yeah.
But my family was a big part of it. My sister, when I was struggling, she would send me a card or send me something with some words of encouragement on it, and it made a difference, a big difference. Just to know that somebody had my back.
Yeah.
From the fire, from the drum, we remember who we are. Through the smoke, through the sound, our heartbeat carries on. Stand strong, voices rise from the earth. Neshanabe, Neshanabe, Bode Wadami, Neshanabe.